our problems get so small. We break up with lovers and friends, make love to the rumors instead.
Hello everyone and welcome to Absolver. Now originally I wasn't going to do this here video, but I figured why not. Also occasionally every now and then you might hear me mumble something in the background. That's because, like I said, originally I wasn't going to do this video, but I decided to save some clips and my PlayStation camera records my audio regardless. I could mute it, but like a lot of the time I forget to, or I just don't feel like it. So wow, that's actually still louder than I thought it was. I might turn up my own volume over that more. I don't know, I'll see after I'm done recording. But what I wanted to do here was just have a 1,000 trophy special. Absolver was the game that I played that helped me reach 1,000 trophies. I've been trying to get to that mark for about 2.5 years at this point now. So finally got there. Back on 360 I had 1,500 something achievements, so getting back up to the thousands makes me feel accomplished on PlayStation. Like, I've been playing PlayStation ever since I was 4 years old, starting with the PlayStation 2, and on PS3 I never got anywhere near 1,000 trophies. I probably had a couple hundred at most, but I only played it from 2007 to 2012, but at that time I wasn't as avid with video games, and also I was like a baby, so there's that too. Not really a baby, but still really young. But here we go. So, overview of this game. I've got like a list here of things I want to go over as the video progresses. I've got a couple of these fights going at 2x speed because they were pretty long originally. This video is like over 40 minutes long, and I was like, nah, people probably don't want to sit around and listen to me talk that long, and also I don't want to talk for that long. But I won't be talking about Absolver specifically this whole time. At some point I'm probably gonna stop talking and not narrate over my fights, or maybe I'll narrate a bit every now and then, who knows. But once I say everything I've had to say about Absolver, it's really up to you if you want to stick around. I'd hope that you'd at least stick around to hear all this. So, basically here I'm going to go through a list of everything that I've experienced so far in the game by starting with my own opinions about the game. So far, I think it's actually a really cool game with like a nice concept. Like, you don't really see too many martial arts games out there, and I think this is actually quite cool. You see different like games with like fighting in it, or maybe some kung fu moves here and there, stuff like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, but you don't see anything that's specifically martial arts based like this. All these like legitimate fighting styles, these actual martial arts moves that Taekwondo, Karate, Taijutsu, masters of different fighting styles like that can perform and pull off. So I think that's actually really cool. And at first it was kind of strange getting used to it, but I think I'll explain some more of that as I go along. But overall I really liked the game. There were times here and there where it was kind of frustrating. It's kind of wonky getting used to, and I don't think it explains its own story very well. But aside from that, just like gameplay wise, it's not that bad. I wish it had more to it, honestly, because I feel like if it had a longer journey and more build up, then it would have been just that much better. But I'll explain the story now, I guess, transitioning into that for my opinions. Basically, you're in this land, Roslyn, I think, and it's, I suppose, ruled by this woman, Rizarin, who is the final boss in this game. But it used to be a land named Adal, but then these lost prospects, I think is what they're called, they came in and started roaming the lands and taking over. And so this group of people, they seek out and train a select number of people to become these prospects who fight the lost ones, the marked ones, and other bosses, which I'll get into later. But they're selected, they're given a mask, they meet this thing. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's, I think, made of this stuff called essence, which was like mined a long time ago in a doll, and is basically like the source of their power. They like channel essence along with like their own martial arts ability and the power of folding, which is like this thing that they do with their masks, and it's kind of complicated to explain. You can look up other videos where they explain it more in depth, but basically they have this power in their masks that allows them to focus their abilities and use special moves and abilities that they gain from the marked ones and from combat. And so yeah, and let me explain the marked ones now. The marked ones are these 6 different, I guess they're lost prospects too, but they're stronger than the normal ones, and they're located in 6 different areas of the game. And so as you progress, they kind of get tougher and tougher, but at the same time they might even get easier for you depending upon how much you've grown as you play the game. I think I was level 25 at the furthest by the time I'd beaten all the marked ones and the 2 bosses and the final boss. But I honestly think I got fairly lucky in that first day I was playing, but at the same time not really, because I kept encountering a lot of setbacks, and it was also hard for me getting started. And the main thing I wanted to do was get this style you see right here called stagger style, but I'll get into talking about that later. But the marked ones, yeah, there's 6 bosses located in 6 different areas throughout the world. And so the bosses, one of them, I can't even remember his name exactly, starts with a K, but yeah, Kuzurin or something like that. You fight him in the Raslin Coliseum, and he uses this ability where he controls like weak-minded people and makes them do his bidding and fight for him. And basically, as you fight him, once you get him down to about a quarter of his health, he starts bringing in these guys, but they're honestly pretty weak. If you just do a couple strong attacks on them, they'll go down really easily, and each one of them restores your health a bit. So like you can focus on them a bit more, do a few hits on him, he starts beating you up, or they start hitting you too much, just knock one of them out and go back into him. Just regaining your health as you go. So that's pretty cool. And I beat literally everything in this game with the basic combat deck that you start off with. And like I said, by the time I was level 25, I don't even think I was level 25 yet. And that's honestly really low as far as this game goes. I've seen like high level players who are over 200. So being level 25, that's literally nothing, just a drop in the bucket. But so yeah, you got marked ones, and then bosses. That's one of the bosses. The other bosses, well, okay, so it's one boss battle, but you fight 2 bosses. They're brother and sister. Don't remember their names either. Everyone has complicated ass names in this game. I only remember Rizrin because she's the final boss and honestly the most memorable, but because she actually kills someone. But you fight the brother and sister duo, and they're actually quite tough. Not even just because it's 2 of them, but even individually they're fairly tough. But by the second time I fought them, I was way stronger than the first time, because the very first time I think I was like level 8, and the second time I was up somewhere in the teens. But it became a lot easier the second time than it was the first, and also the second time I knew what I was doing in the game better. But once you get them down to like about a quarter of their health left, then they pull out their weapons and both try to attack you with weapons, which do increase damage and changes up their moveset. So if you'd already memorized their moveset previously, once they bring out the weapons, it's a different ball game. But they aren't too tough if you're a higher enough level to fight them. Somewhere in the teens, you'll be pretty good, like mid to upper teens, you'll be fine. But each boss, once you reach a certain combat trial level, they go up in like difficulty. So like you fight them in their level 1 form and then level 2, and I don't know how many times they go up, but once you reach a certain combat level, they increase in level as well. So you actually fight the bosses more than once, and the marked ones, they just infinitely continue to respawn because this is an open world game, and so all the bosses, every enemy, it's just all one continuous thing that just never stops. Because like people come and go, you have people starting off from the very beginning of the game or even playing for years, and so everything just keeps moving. But now that I've gotten past like about as much of the story as I know of and the marked ones and bosses, I'm going to move into some of the more specifics of the game, starting with the styles. There are 4 different styles in the game. There's the Forsaken, the Cult or something like that, and the Windfall. The Windfall is the one you actually no, I don't think I can't remember if I was using Windfall in this battle. I think I might have actually switched back over to Stagger style at this point, because that's what I was supposed to be using, but I didn't realize that you click on Windfall to switch to Stagger. I'm going to look at myself. Yeah, I was still using Windfall here. I'm using the Stagger style fighting, but I'm not using the Stagger style like combat stance thing, kind of. Like, I'm using the combat deck and not Stagger style. So I'm fighting like I'm using Stagger style, but I'm not actually using all of its abilities. And so with Windfall, that's the one I'm using here. Basically, if you read your opponent's movements when you dodge, you get a split-second opportunity to go in and retaliate. You've probably seen me do it at some point in this battle. I just haven't actually been paying attention. I've been more so focused on my notes and like actually explaining this stuff to you. But as you can see, I'm using the combat deck of the Stagger style, and you'll see later on in this video that my fighting's a lot different because I've actually equipped Stagger style and I'm using it correctly. And like along with that, you've also got Forsaken and Cult, as I was talking about. Those two, Forsaken, basically it's a parry style. So whenever you use your defensive ability, instead of dodging as you do with Windfall here, then you just parry your opponent and you don't take damage from it, and it gives you a chance to retaliate. And then the final style that I was mentioning earlier, give me a second here. With that one, you stand there and you actually absorb the hit that you take. Yeah, it's Cult. You absorb the hit that you take and you regain health while taking damage from it. Well, while not taking damage, actually. But yeah, so you've got Cult, Forsaken, Windfall, and Stagger. Cult is shown as being the easiest one to use because literally you just stand there and regain health. And honestly, I find that to be the baby style because that literally takes no skill whatsoever. And I like calling Windfall the Avatar style because it reminds me of Aang and how he fights and like uses his opponent's momentum against him and stuff, and like he's so fluid and moved around swiftly and everything. But yeah, and then Forsaken, that's just the basic style, I guess. You parry, you smack, that's about it. But yeah, and Stagger style, it's a drunken fist, drunken boxing technique. It's freaking dope. I love it so much. It's my favorite thing ever. It actually stems from not my burps, not my throat, not my body whatsoever. It actually stems from when I was a child and I used to watch the VHS tape called The Drunken Master, and then there was one with like an old man, then there was another one with Jackie Chan taught by the old man, then there was a second one, The Legend of Drunken Master, where Jackie Chan had stopped drunken boxing. He was older, but then these peeps came all up in his hood, and he was like, "You better stop, or else I'm gonna drink this alcohol and smack you." And they didn't stop, so he drank some alcohol and smacked them. But then there was this one dude who was like, "I got these feet," and Jackie was like, "I don't care about your feet." And then he was like, "Look at my foot." Jackie's like, "I don't want to see your foot." And then the man smacked him with his feet a lot. And then Jackie was like, "Dang, man's got them feet." And so later on, towards the end of the movie, Jackie came back, drank something hella good, smacked the man. The end. But yeah, that's basically where that came from. Also, I loved it in Naruto when Rock Lee learned some drunken boxing and was able to use that. That was cool. But yeah. And let's see, bosses, styles. Okay, next up, schools. We're gonna talk about schools. Get schooled, fool. So, joining schools, basically what it does for you is it gives you your mentor's combat deck automatically, and the more you use the deck, you can actually learn the moves from the deck. So, by joining someone else's school, you can learn their moves and add their moves to your own style, like your own combat deck. So right now, as I'm using Stagger Style, I'm learning the moves from Stagger Style, and there you can see I've actually got Stagger Style equipped. You see how the entrance animation there, I look drunk. And this guy was at least courteous enough to bow to me. There was one dude I was fighting on this exact same map. He was actually quite the butt and like really difficult to fight, and he was about 10 levels above me. I don't know if I show as many in this, but there are quite a few. I do show a couple of them at least, but there are quite a few fights where I'm fighting people at least 10 levels above me. Like, I was dumb there. I think he's probably fairly new to this game, maybe hasn't fought on this map a lot of times. I hadn't fought on this map very many times at this point either. This was either my first, if not my first, my second time. But like, I still had better awareness than this dude, because there were times when he just went off the edge simply because he didn't dodge or move out of the way or just make sure he was more focused towards the center. But yeah, this guy takes a long time to beat too because he was so timid. There were times when he'd just start running from me and all sorts of stuff. But as you saw right there, it showed that I learned a new move. That's because as you use a certain combat deck from different schools, then you learn that combat deck's moves and you can equip them into your own combat deck. But once you're part of a school, whoever the mentor is, you're locked into their combat deck unless you like change it. Well, I mean, like, unless you change like what deck you're using. But their moves are locked in. Like, you can't change them whatsoever, only your own. And now you can see me like stumbling around, staggering about and all that. And I actually look like I'm using Stagger Style. I also like to call it Strong Style because I'm a weeb, but it's cool. And so yeah, that's basically what schools do for you. Oh, and also whenever you're trying to master all the styles, basically to master a style you just use its defensive ability. And so with Stagger Style, it's defensive striking. That's basically where you just dodge, and as you're dodging you hit the person. So it might be I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I actually chuckled there, like while I was recording this too. Not just right now, recording my audio over it. But I don't even remember what I was saying. If you're trying to learn different styles, basically you become a part of a school, and then you master that style by using its defensive abilities, which this one's defensive striking. You block, you hit. But I told you the abilities before of all the different styles, so you just use those styles' abilities, and then you'll master that style. And once you've mastered the style, then you can just use the style whenever you want. And this is Kuzuri's, my character's name is Kuzuri. I don't remember if I mentioned that. But this is his actual like fighting outfit. I decided to take the Absolver cloak off of him because it weighed him down more and didn't give him as much mobility when he was fighting. So yeah. But yeah, this dude is actually, he was really tough for me to beat because like sometimes he just like do that right there. I don't know what that is. I don't know what kind of like fighting style that's from or ability or something that is, but like he gets like these moves that it's kind of similar to when I stumble forward into people, but he has a few moves like what he does right there where he gains like frames where he can't be hurt. And also there are so many times when he hits me with that like jumping elbow smash thing that I don't understand like why my attack didn't connect first. Because if I'm swinging right into your ribs, I don't see why you aren't getting smacked before you hit me with that. But whatever. I still win, that's really all that matters. It's just really funny to me that I beat so many people who are above me in level. Like, I feel like if you're a higher level than someone, you don't necessarily have more skill than them, but you would, if nothing else, you're stronger than them for sure. And so I feel like even that should make up for whatever you lack in skill and should make it easier to just throw out some combos and eventually beat them. But that's none of my business. So, yeah, basically that's how it works. Schools and styles, they go hand in hand. You choose one of the first three styles, the Forsaken, the Cult, or the Windfall, and once you beat the game, once you beat the marked ones, you beat the two bosses, and you beat Rizrin, the final boss, then you can unlock Stagger Style by going to this one guy behind this locked door. Oh, well, you also have to fight this one dude over in uh, the, like, all the tower, Alden Tower, something like that. It's just like tower place basically. You go there, you find him, you beat him. I think his name is like Jin Meska or something like that. Once you beat him, you can go over to Rakio and learn the stagger style. And the thing is, I actually stole the kill for that dude when I was like level 8. But the thing was, for some reason, the game kept saying loading failed whenever I tried to go to Rakio. I could go to him by the time I was level 8. I just couldn't get stagger style, which if I did have it before I beat the game, I literally would have beaten the bosses like no problem. But really all I had to do was close the application and open it again for some reason, and then start it up, go back to him, and I was perfectly fine. I just saved at the save like right next to where he's at, and then went over to him. But I mean, saved at the altar where he's at, and then exited the game, closed the app, started it back up, and it was fine. But yeah, that's basically all that. And then the areas in this game, as I said, they're, aside from the beginning one, I think there are about 7 in total, because there are 6 ones where the marked ones are, and then there's like the Guardian something place. Like I said, I've only been playing this game for like a day now, because I got it 2 days ago, but it was later in the day, and I hardly played it for like the first bit of time I was playing it, and then the last part was just to like get the bosses beat and figure out why my strong style wasn't working, stagger style, whatever. All this gameplay that you're seeing is actually from today, and that's mainly all I've been doing today is just fighting people. Primarily so I can make this video, because when you see it, it will be the 12th. That's when I plan on uploading this. No, sorry, the 11th. It's after midnight now, so it'll be the 11th today when you see this, but I recorded all of this on the 10th, and I got the game on the 9th, but I didn't really play it much on the 9th until like way later that night, like around almost 11, and then I played it for like a couple hours just to beat it. But so I don't have all the specific details on the names of stuff, but if you want to see it, you can watch any countless other videos, Google it, whatever. But there's the Roslyn Coliseum, I know of that, the Central Harbor, there's an outpost, I forgot the specific name of that, then there's the Alden Tower, or Tower of Alden? Alden. Jesus, why can't I remember this? I don't know. But then there's also the hunting path, which that's one of the first areas you go to. Um, it's primarily just like a woods type area, and then um, there's also this one like graveyard area. It's if you go a certain way through the hunting path, it's in that too. But okay, so I think you start off in the Plains of Adal, and there's the Guidance Bridge, Hunting Path, Tower of Adal. It's Adal. That's what it is. I don't know what I was saying before. Adal, Central Harbor, the Forgotten Temple, Bird Caller's Outpost, Adalian Columbary, Ration Quarter, Roslyn Coliseum, Essence Reserves, and Imperial Quarters. These are all the different areas, but the ones where you find the marked ones are going to be the Hunting Path, Tower of Adal, Central Harbor, Forgotten Temple, Bird Caller's Outpost, and the Adalian Columbary. No, I think it's the Ration Quarter. Yeah. No, wait, the Roslyn Coliseum. Okay. Yeah, those first ones. Wait. Okay, Hunting Path, Tower of Adal, Central Harbor, Forgotten Temple, Bird Caller's Outpost, and the Roslyn Coliseum. Those are the places that you're gonna find the marked ones, and then the Adalian Columbary, that and the Roslyn Coliseum are both places where you'll find the bosses, and then you'll find the final boss once you go through the Essence Reserves to the Imperial Quarters, and that's where you'll find Rizrin. And I got her sword the first time I beat her. I don't know if everyone does, but I got that, so like it's actually pretty cool. You need 4 shards to be able to use it. I don't specifically know how you get shards, if it's just from leveling up, if it's from upping your will. Right now my will is only 8, and I got it back when I was like level 26, I think, but I don't know. This dude was actually probably my toughest fight, just because I'm pretty sure he's a higher level than me. I wasn't looking just then, but from what I remember, I think he's a higher level than me. And also, he hits really hard, and like I wasn't expecting like his moveset and the way he fought. Like sometimes he'd be really defensive, and sometimes he'd be really offensive, and like it really threw me off this first round with him. I honestly think he lost the first one just to see my moveset and like how I fought. But then you'll see that I start changing things up on him a lot. And like most of the time I'll rematch a person if they stick around and I beat them the first time. But if they're either lagging or like they were irritating me while we were fighting because they just spammed moves a lot or they ran away a lot, then I wouldn't allow them a second opportunity to fight me. I just move on and try to find someone else. The only times when I've quit fights are when the enemy was like way above my level. Like I remember back when I first started, I literally was like level 2 or 3, and there was this level 26 person that had tried to have me fight, and I was like, no thank you. And then the very first fight I had was against someone who was like level 6. They ended up beating me, but as I said, I was on level 2 or 3, so I didn't really know what I was doing, and they were naturally stronger than me regardless. And like, when you're that low of a level, having someone even just a tiny bit higher than you really makes a difference. If you ever played Pokemon, it's literally like that. Like, you know that when you're low levels, having that difference, because you're not very strong to begin with, that really can affect you. But like when you're both like way up there, like say you're level 40 and your enemy's level 55, sure they're like 15 levels above you, but you're strong as is being level 40. Or like say you're 100 they're 115. Like, that doesn't seem like as big of a difference because you're still level 100. Like, that's insane. Level 100. So, like, my first few fights didn't go very well, but from there they got better and better. Like, just about every single fight you're seeing in this video is consecutive. Like, I've only quit, I think, 2 or 3 fights in this whole game before they started, and I've only quit one after it started, just because the guy was lagging so much that he was literally, like, time skipping all over the place. And, like, I hit him on my screen, but it wouldn't register, and then there would be times when he'd hit me and then pop into position to where he was supposed to have hit me at. But yeah, it was just ridiculous. And so I'm gonna finish this up really fast here. I didn't actually expect to talk this whole time. But then there's meditation. Meditation basically just takes you into a state where you can see your combat deck, your stats to level up, your styles, your basically everything to do with your character and how it fights and how much damage it does and its stats and everything. And then you got your equipment. Equipment is basically just for your protection, and it also affects how much damage you do, because some equipment is heavier and it will lower your mobility and how much damage you do, but it'll also provide you with more protection than lighter equipment. So really it just depends upon what kind of fighter you are. If you're more offensive, you'll probably want lighter equipment to do more damage, and if you have no equipment on, well, you just do maximum damage basically. Or if you're like defensive, you'll want more heavier equipment on so you can take more hits and still fight back. Or if you're like balanced, you'll want like a mix of some heavy equipment, some light equipment, some equipment that focuses on protection while others focus on damage. But yeah, so that's basically all equipment does for you. Back when I first started, I had a hard time understanding because I kept picking up all this equipment and I was like, but why does my beginning gear like do so much more damage than all this stuff that I'm picking up later and later into the game? And it's because your beginning gear is some of the lightest gear that you have in this game, so it will naturally do more damage, but it provides you with way less protection than anything else you're going to pick up. So really it just depends upon like what you'd rather have personally. Would you rather have more protection or more damage? And also depending upon which style you choose, either strength or dexterity will do more for your fighting. For me, with stagger style and windfall both, dexterity is what I want to go to increase my damage more, because it focuses more on fluidity and like dealing damage to your opponent more from counterattacking and like chaining more combos rather than just being like really strong in general and just like hitting as hard as possible. But as you can see, stagger style, it like really flows and keeps moving and stumbling around and trying to throw off your opponent. And I have quite a few good fights up in here where I start reading my opponents better and all that. But yeah, and then altars you just go around and you use those to heal, and they also have essence where you go in there and every time you win a battle you get these like rift coins. You use those and you'll get some randomly generated gear, and then it helps you access your equipment, meditation schools, all that stuff. Encounters are just people you've met either because they're your friends or because they're just people you fought or you've joined with to co-op. But yeah, and if they have a triangle next to their name, they're in a school, so you can join schools that way too. But then that's about all I have time to say in this video. I'll probably make another one later on down the line because I still wanted to talk about my online experience. But until next time, guys, don't forget to rate, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications, do all that good stuff. In a future video, I'll talk about some more Absolver. But until then, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.